So my name is Danny de Vleeshouwer. I have my colleague Nico Nuffel with me to help me later on. Our agenda for today is, first I will explain a bit who we are. Then I'll explain a bit an overview what is Tailscale Headscale solution. Explain a bit what the use case was with service integrators. And then my friend Nico will do a live demo of the solution. And then afterwards you can ask me some questions. And Nico also. So I will go fast here, who we are. ASP is a managed service provider. We are in Brussels, very focused on certain products, active in the mid-market. And we are 60 people with around 7 million turnover. What we do is we enable enterprises to focus on their digital transformation, and we manage their infrastructure and keep the lights on for them. So that's the main purpose we have. We manage infrastructure for customers, and they can focus on their application, businesses, and things like that. And I'm talking about core IT, that means servers, data centers, networking, and things like that. Very core technologies we are using. As we use very limited technologies, we are very technical, very flexible, and as we do managed services, we have to be very compliant and process-driven to execute on it. What we do, we still build infrastructure for customers. We manage them, we secure them, and we use ServiceNow to optimize them, meaning that we use an ITSM tool to optimize our managed services, and we bring that also to the market. That was for ASP. Service Integrators was founded in '93. It's a company specialized in monitoring. So they sell a product which is called Monitor Now, based on CheckMK, and they bring it as a managed service to the market. So they install it at customers, and they manage them for the customer. And that's why we come back on the use case, how we manage those things with a Zero Trust solution. Focusing on monitoring, operations, and op security. Operations mainly on the CheckMK, on the Monitor Now services, and they are based in Leuven. Why the relation? ASP bought them in March 24. As a managed service provider, we use CheckMK also in our services. So there was a very good match between the two companies. So we use both products, and for us to do managed services, we need a monitoring tool, and CheckMK is ideal for that. As I said, we use the same technology stack. It's a bit different because they have agentless solutions. We do most of the time with an agent. But that's not the subject of today. So, like as explained before, we require a monitoring tool for our managed services, and SE sells it as a package solution, and they have certain monitoring packs and smart agents to query the devices or the infrastructure to give notification and alerts. So, and the combination is very good for the both parties. So what we do, managed services, I will not go through. Like I said, we keep the lights on. You see a bit in our logo. There's a sort of rack and servers, and you have a small green light. That's what we do. We keep for customers the lights on. So, and we do that 24/7. It can be fully or it can be partially. It depends a bit what we do. All the things you expect from a managed service provider, it can be first line to second line, third line, but it can be full operational. Like I said, we are in the mid-market. Typical customers are an Interparking, Brussels Airlines, Pluxee, Equans, NG, Traffic, which is the retail, typical mid-market customers. Partnerships, very focused, Dell Technologies for everything, what is infrastructure, hardware, data center, and then we do the normal brands like Checkpoint for security, Barracuda, which was a presentation just before us, and CrowdStrike for endpoint security, for instance. Small introduction. So what is Tailscale and Headscale? Tailscale and Headscale is a zero trust security solution. It's open source. Tailscale is a commercial product, but it's open sourced. And Headscale is the open source control server to control the agents. And that's open source. That you can get from the GitHub. And it doesn't cost money. The only thing it costs is time and to implement it. So what it does, it goes away from what is in fact zero trust security. It goes away from what we call the castle and moat, the kasteel en gracht. So we have a firewall who protects everything inside, and outside you can't get in, or you need an open port to get in. That's the normal security way we still are using still today in the most cases. Zero trust philosophy is we never trust, and we only trust on identity. So you only come in when you have the correct identity to come in. It's very explicitly, so you have to authenticate, and you have to be authorized to do something. So if you come in the network, you can go to that server, and you have to log in with your credentials on that server. It's very specific. And then if you do that, if it's identity-based, you can limit user access, you can do it time-based, which you can't do with a firewall. If you open a port, you can do time limits on that, but here you can really specify in a PAM, for instance, to limit access for a certain time, for a certain access you need, just enough access. And you always, if you have in a castle moat model, you can always go out from a breach. That means you can have access to everything. So if you are breached a server somewhere internal in the network, you can go everywhere in most of the cases. So it's not always the case, but I think 95% of the companies, you can jump from one server to another. And if you look at identity products, most of the use cases in identity products are that you don't do lateral movement and you block lateral movement, which is a very big issue in hacking environments. So you reduce your attack surface. That's one in the zero trust. You will be better compliant, and it's a very easy way for remote working, hybrid working, because it's very specific. You can give access to a specific server internally, which is much difficult with a VPN client, for instance. And you emulate the soft center. So what's the real challenge in a modern network? So remote work, so everyone is remote working. So most of the time you start your VPN, or you use a SaaS application. Most of the time, if you have to have access internal network, you have to use a VPN to do that. So you start your VPN and you have access to everything. If you go RDP to a certain server, you can go around. So you want to get rid of those. Also cloud adaptation. There's a lot of cloud web servers you want to access. Services also there. BOD, people come with their own laptop. We do managed services for customers. And sometimes we come with our own laptop in the environment, so they want to control us to a certain way. So you don't want to go everywhere with a laptop they don't control anymore. And it's not always a good idea to give every external party a laptop from the company because it's a cost for them and they don't want to do that. And like I said, traditional VPNs are a centralized bottleneck, so really you have to have policies for users of a group of users, and it's very difficult to granularly give access to certain components in the network. So traditionally, like I said before, a single boundary, central gateway, and everything comes through the central gateway. Modern trust, there is no perimeter in zero trust. You go, everything, it's not open because there are still firewalls in the place, so you will not remove your firewalls, but there is no perimeter anymore. So you will give access on identity and on every request. So what is Tailscale? Tailscale is an agent. It's based on a modern zero trust infra built on wire protocol. It is a sort of VPN encryption model. It creates secure encrypted mesh network between the devices. So that means if you have a whole mesh of devices, it will create a really encrypted mesh network. So you can't go from here and there, or the key does not work anymore. And you can use existing providers. So we will show that also. You can use Entra ID to use your identity on your Headscale, on Tailscale infrastructure. So you can control those guys also. You don't have to create local users and things like that. And you can have a direct device-to-device contact. So you can connect from one device to another if the ACL is correctly set. And it works seamlessly between NATs and firewalls, and we will explain a bit later how it works. What is Headscale? Headscale is the open source thing. So Tailscale you can download from the Tailscale website. They have their own control server, which they sell. But you can also take the open source control server, and then you download it, you have to install it, and you have to configure it, what my dear friend did. Very good. Okay, and it's hosted somewhere because it needs, I think the slides will be provided later on, I think, but I'm not sure. So you need a public IP somewhere to contact this control server. So it has to be in a public environment. It can be public cloud, it can be in Azure, it can be, in our case, and I will explain it later, is in our data center. So the two together, it's identity-based control. It's not based on network. Every connection is authenticated and encrypted, so every connection has a private key. You can granularly add permissions to certain devices. You can say, he can access that one, he can access that one, this server can access the other server. So it's very ACL based, so it's very easy to set up. And also the automatic key generation and key management is automatically included in the tool. And you have full audit logging, what is happening. So you can also send it to Seams or other devices to centralize the logging. And then the zero trust implementation, every device authenticates directly with another device, and everything is encrypted. So what is the key benefit for an organization? It's very simple when it's set up, it's very simple. So you have only to deploy the agent on the server or on the client, and then you can go from there and you give the ACLs. It reduces complexity. You don't have to need a VPN client. It can be very fast in deployment, no maintenance over it. And security, reduced service attack. You can give granular access, because in our case, and I explain it a bit later, you can really say this customer can not go to that customer, and only we can go there. So, and it's very granular, you can do that. And you can have a full visibility of who is accessing your network and from where and who. And for the business, it's the user experience is very good because you authenticate and you have access to your devices you want to access to. You don't have to start your VPN and things like that, so it's very easy. It's cost saving. In this case, as it is open source, it's really cost saving. And you can grow it, I don't know how far, but I think 1,000 devices will not be a problem to manage. And it improves productivity. So the implementation steps is very easy. You have to set up a Headscale server in your infrastructure somewhere. It has to be public IP. You have to open 2 ports, an UDP port and an HTTPS port, because the agents have to access something to do the control. You deploy all your Tailscale clients on the devices you want to manage. And it can be any device. It can be Microsoft, it can be Linux, it can be a desktop, a server, anything you want. And you define policies based on the user. So this user can do that, that, and that. This user has to have access to a web service on a certain server, and the other user can only have to do SSH, for instance. So you can define that. And you can implement monitoring and logging, and then you test and validate it, and then you come to almost to Nico. So what's all the real-world use cases? Remote access, multi-cloud access, IoT security, because sometimes it's a bit more complex and to manage. Development, third-party giving access to third parties. So a managed service provider has to come in, and you want a certain area to be controlled, and you don't want to give them VPN access or an Enter ID account of the company. So you can manage to do it a bit more controlled for that third party, and it's really a VPN replacement. So you can really remove your VPN and use your zero trust environment to access devices. Okay? Yeah, security considerations. That speaks for itself. You have to update your Headscale server. You have to do monitoring. It's with anything you implement in an infrastructure, you have to do that. And also for policy and governance, you have to plan the backup and things like that. So that's straightforward things. So like I said, the Tailscale comes from the Tailscale website. The Headscale comes from the GitHub. And there are a lot of support around it at GitHub, the community and things like that. So, and then implementation part, you do a small proof of concept, and then you develop a migration strategy from your VPN. You create a rollout plan, and you implemented the monitoring, and then you have a network zero trust solution, which you can broadly deploy in your environment, which is what we did. Enfin, what Nico did, sorry, I have to correct myself. So the use case for service integrators, like I said, service integrators manage servers, which is monitoring now application on it, and they update it, they manage it, they have to access the HTTP page, they have to access the SSH, because they are all Linux servers, but that doesn't matter anyhow. So they have to have access to that. How they work now is they set up VPNs with the customer. Or it's a site-to-site VPN, which is cumbersome to do, because you have a counterpart. It's not that easy. The network guys are not always available to set that up. So it's a bit a thing, or a client VPN, or even we have even a customer who gives a laptop to our people and you only can access with that laptop. So, but that's for a bank, so they are always a bit paranoid as is. So what happens now is we deploy the instance of the application with the Tailscale agent already in there. It comes automatically in the mesh. We have to ask to open a port because one port has to go out to go to the control server, and that's it. And it's deployed. So, and then we do the configuration for the ACLs, and we are done. Very simple to do. I think service integrators had around 50 customers, and I think you did that in 2-3 weeks max. Not even, I think. So, so it's very fast to do that. And we can now work without a VPN and a site-to-site VPN. We removed all site-to-site VPNs with customers. So also a security advantage for the customer because they don't want to open a port, and now we have only access to that specific server. So how it works, it's a very basic design. So you have we work with a jump server for the moment. The jump server was service integrators, where the agent is installed on. We have the Headscale in our data center. The firewalls still remain. So we have our firewalls, we have SE firewall, we have customer 1 firewall, we have customer 2 firewall. And the connectivity can go from here to the 2 customers if the ASL is defined. And there is a control mechanism to check where can I go to. So if I have no access to customer 1, I can't go there from here. And customer 1, when nothing is defined, it's forbidden as is, so customer 1 can never go customer 2. Correct what I said, but I have to. Okay. And you can extend it as far as you want. But you always need the Headscale server to do the coordination. And you can have device-device access directly. Or if it's not possible because there is no routing or there is no direct access to the network, you go to the relay server. And then the Headscale will be the relay server for the communication. So a bit further, we also installed the SSSO and the Entra ID, so we can manage the Headscale through the Entra ID. And we can even leverage, and which is in fact necessary if you give access to somebody, you have to implement MFA. So in the end, and the only way to do that in a correct way, there are other ways to do MFA, but Entra ID is very ideal for that. So it's almost out of the box. You have your FMA installed, and you can use that directly to authenticate. And in that case, you can also offboard and onboard easily people if they are leaving. You disable the account, and they don't have anything anymore. And then I give if there are any questions before the demo. No? So and then I give the word to Nico.
Yeah, thank you, Donny.
With pleasure. Wait, I will go, like, otherwise I'm going to make noise.
Okay, so I will be demoing. So as you can see right now, I am logged out. The way we log into Tailscale using... Oh, yeah, wait. I will have to... So the way we log in is by specifying the Tailscale up and our login server. Sudo. And then we just open this link and we log in using our Entra ID account. So once we are logged in, you can see success. We have access to the servers we need. So currently we use the jump server, but we want to transition to just direct access. So we just created a custom solution so we can access the servers we need using the jump server. So once that's okay, I can access the Headscale web UI. So we installed a custom web UI specifically for Headscale, so that we can easily manage everything like ACLs and tags, machines using the UI. So as you can see all the nodes here. So we have our servers. So I will demo. So this is a Windows machine. I will add this to the Headscale meshnet. I will have to real quickly hide something. Because it's not. Wait. Why is it not? Oh, it should be fine. I think I still have a. Yeah, wait. I can just go in here in settings, manage auth keys, go to Cybersec, and create a authentication key for the Cybersec account. I can create this. Then all I have to do is copy this command and paste it in here, and this server or host will be added to the Tailscale meshnet. Sometimes takes a moment. There we go. And then if I do a status, you can see by default it has no access to anything. So if we want to give it access to things, I can go here to the ACLs. You see, so you can work with tags to give certain nodes predefined ACLs. So I will just do a quick easy ACL based on IP. So this has the IP 99. And then all I have to do is click save. And once I do Tailscale status here, you will see it has now access to my laptop. So now that it has access, I can, for example, remote desktop to it. Could not find. Oh yeah, it's. Wait, I will have to do the Tailscale status, the name of this, and then I can put it in here, and then I can remote desktop to it. And if I do Tailscale status now, you will see that because it's able to, the Headscale server is able to make a peer-to-peer connection between my laptop and the virtual machine, so I can directly access it using the local IP. But if it does not have a direct access, so it's not able to make a peer-to-peer connection, it will be relayed over the Headscale server. So if I would remove this ACL now and save, might take a moment, and then it should. There we go. My connection has been disconnected. So it applies very fast, the ACLs. There we go. Cannot connect to server. So you can also manage your users here. So you can give them certain rights to manage all the stuff in the Headscale. So you can define the ACLs. You can also work with DNS, but we have not worked with this yet. But you can add a custom name. So make all the Tailscale clients have to use a certain name server. And you can also open. So if I go, for example, to machines here now, you will see that this node has been added. And you can define so certain tags here. And then based on those tags, certain ACLs can be applied. You can also edit routes, but we have not worked with that. And you can just give it another name, for example, and access it through that name then. And then I also want to show, so currently we use the jump server. So I will show you. So our jump server currently has access to the customers. There is something with my connection. I might have to re-authenticate. Yes, the internet is not the best. Don't know. No, I might have to put it down and then back up. The internet is not the best on my mobile hotspot. It might be back up now. Just having some internet issues, but it's fine. It basically most of the stuff I wanted to show.
Questions?
Any questions? Yeah.
How do you integrate with ID?
How what?
How do you integrate with Intel ID?
How it's set up? I can't.
IDC.
Yeah, it's just OIDC, and you configure it in the Headscale config. It's just you create. I could probably. I should not show it. Probably has some sensitivity.
It's like any internet.
Yeah,
it's an
it's-
OIDC DC connection, so it's
Yeah.
standard.
You can use the roots of the Intel ID.
So yeah, and we also made a script that will, once our laptops go offline from the meshnet, it will de-authenticate it, and you will have to re-authenticate using your Microsoft accounts for security purposes.
So otherwise, if you find one if it's still authenticated, it's like any laptop in the end. So
Yeah, you don't want it to, after a reboot, still be accessible by default.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility to do a security posture check on the device? Or do we need to integrate it with the points?
Repeat what you.
With the laptop, it's full of viruses. Can I still connect? That's my
There's no check. Yeah, the question is if there is a check if there is the laptop is compromised, if you still can connect. There is in the agent. I don't think there is something that verifies if there is hacking
it's-
going on and things like that. No.
It's not an
So you have to.
antivirus.
It has to be external.
Yes.
So yeah. So or you have to have CrowdStrike or a Defender on it, and then you can go from there. So yeah, we have to.
Yep.
We have to stop. Another question, otherwise we do it offline. Okay. So we will go out because. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.